Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another community post. This time we're going to be looking over at you guys' predictions for Boruto Two Blue Vortex Chapter 10. And as always, we're going to be starting over on the Patreon first, and then we're going to go over to the main YouTube channel. For those of you guys who are unaware how this works, over on the community tab, I post like Q&As and community responses like this, so you guys can give me your predictions, etc. This is basically going to replace me doing like the Boruto fan theory, so I would like accept like video topics to discuss as a theory and kind of weigh in on whether or not I think it is likely, unlikely, etc., etc. I did that in the past simply because I wanted to kind of interact with you guys, because I thought it was a cool way to kind of build community. This would just be a way of kind of supplementing that. So basically said, hey, like, don't matter how outlandish, send me your biggest prediction. So over on the Patreon, so Tommy Bunnybread says, I think Sarada and class rep will finally arrive to the scene and meet Jura and Hidari, and then a fight will break out as Hidari has found his target. This fight will probably focus on showing how far Sarada and class rep have come in the last 3 years. I think that's a possibility, and it wouldn't surprise me if like potentially that's something that happens like at the end. Simply because like I think we're gonna get some exposition with Kurama and Himawari just based off of how the last chapter ended. But I think you might be on the money here that Sarada and class rep are gonna get there and interact. If we get like the start of a fight in the next chapter, great prognosticator, fam. Sage Kaioken, that'd be broken, man. Like you could stack like Kaioken on top of Sage mode. Holy. Sage Kaioken says, I'm hoping either for Himawari learns some form of the truth from Kurama and goes to seek clarification from Kawaki or Boruto, and Himawari finally talk to one another. I would be up for that. And like matter of fact, like by the time you guys are seeing this, I should have already published the video going over is Kurama affected by omnipotence, and the other video on whether or not Himawari learns the truth about Boruto. That is something that I hope happens. If it don't happen in this next chapter, it's definitely coming. Mexicano 12 says, I think Kurama will tell her how he came back, and class rep and Sarada will meet Jura and Hidari, and the fight will be until chapter 11. Okay, so I can get down with that, man. So basically, you know, Kurama exposition. Looks like that's what a lot of you guys are saying. So Kurama exposition on how he came back, and which is needed for the readers, and then Sumire and the class, Sumire and Sarada basically meet during Hidari, and that starts the next fight. I would be completely fine with that. If we get that in the next chapter, I'm walking away super happy, super happy. If we get that, that's a good chapter for me. That's a solid 8 out of 10. If that's happening in the next chapter. Jamie Alston says cliffhanger to Sarada's my that'd be dope, man. Oh, that'd be dope. If she shows up at the end of the chapter, she sees Hidari and she cuts on that Mangekyo Sharingan, and then you got to read the next chapter in order to even see what the powers are. Family, you cooking. I like that right there, man. I like that. I love that right there, man. Ooh. So, all right, man. Let me read the rest of this, because you cooking right now, man. I want seconds of what you cooking. I hope seeing Hidari and knowing that it's not actually Sasuke makes her angry, and we get to see a different side of Sarada out the time skip, similar to how Sasuke was about Itachi during the Hokage summit. Okay, yeah, I can see that. You know, just the opportunity to see a different side of Sarada and see some of the emotions. You cooking. I like this. I like this, man. I like this. You cooking. Stay in the kitchen, fam. I like that. You ain't coming out the kitchen. We ain't allowing you to come out the kitchen. All right. Kakashi copy that in one take. Chris Bell says, I think Jura is gonna try to kidnap Himawari, and so he gonna go full on rampant, and I believe she gonna go lock on but I got this feeling, and just saying, I've seen the video, but that's a different Fox this whole time. I know it's a stretch, but perhaps, LOL. But we'll see. I think she's going to go off and do something and potentially or possibly do a little damage, then get smacked. Or before she does, Boruto are going to jump in there and do a block similar to how when Kawaki saved Himawari, that'd be something. Yeah, you know, if this ends up being a different Kurama, That'd be interesting because again, it's just adding more lore to what we know about Biju and like the whole reincarnation process. I would 100% be down if it's the same Kurama or is a different Kurama. I just like that again, we're getting more lore explained to us. As far as like with Himawari, the moment that Himawari, if she like spazzes out and she does any damage to Jura, man, Twitter is gonna be a mess. Reddit's gonna be a mess. You're gonna have some very disingenuous takes coming out there. What I mean by disingenuous, you're gonna have people saying, oh my god, I don't understand how she could do this. You know, it just makes no sense. Power scaling is wonky. That's a whole video in of itself. There's some disingenuous stuff going on, people saying that the scaling makes no sense in Boruto. It is what it is, man. I'm gonna eventually adjust that. But yeah, man, if Boruto does end up saving Himawari, I think that's pretty much expected, and I think that sets the stage for potentially having Boruto and Himawari having that conversation. Let's see. Kakashi copied that in one take. Chris Bell says she definitely gonna pop her lock-on mode Byakugan in front of everybody. You know what? Like the moment that Himawari says locked on in the manga, I'm gonna pop so hard, man. I'm gonna pop so hard. Cause like that's the meme being brought to life. They already brought the meme of Baby Kurama back to life, so I'm all for it. Let's see. Over on YouTube, we have, okay, let's see, we got 107 comments. Okay. Very good response on this one. So Riaz Ahmad says both Boruto and Himawari talking to the inner demon. Ooh, yo, what you cooking? What you cooking? Well, you saying we see Momoshiki in the next chapter? Fam, I'm all for that. I'm all for that. If the only thing that happens in the next chapter is Himawari talking to Kurama and we learn the whole stuff with Kurama, and then we have Momoshiki gaslighting Boruto, 10 out of 10 chapter, that has potential. That has potential. I like that. You cooking, fam. Frozen Fungus. Frozen Fungus? Focus solely on Himawari and how Kurama came back. Sarada and Hidari's first encounter. Don't think they'll exchange blows. Just a glance, maybe a few words. Yeah, you know, I can see that because Boruto Two Blue Vortex has changed up a little bit, but like it typically follows like the same pattern that you saw in Boruto Naruto Next Generations, where like the fights when they happen, if they're major fights, so not like quick skirmishes, you know, it's typically there's something that happens in the first chapter and then it ends like with the characters meeting. You get the feeling out process for the fight, and then you get the resolution in the next chapter in terms of the fight being over, or it gets briefly extended with a twist on it. So I could kind of see that, man, because like the way that it's done on a monthly format, it follows the same beats. So I can definitely see that one. Ashley Marie says, I think we finally see Momoshiki. We'll see Himawari use Kurama's chakra to save Team 10, and then with Sarada finally meeting Hidari on a cliffhanger. You know, I'm for that. I'm for that right there. Simply because again, we ain't seen Momoshiki. That's like a big Chekhov's gun. We ain't seen him. Himawari using Kurama's chakra. That would be interesting. If like Himawari, say she has like the Nine Tails chakra mode, oh, people are gonna lose their shit, and I am gonna be there for the chaos. And then like with Sarada meeting Hidari, that's coming, because like if Sarada is still running in the next chapter, she's still running to get there, that meme is never gonna end, because she's been running for the last 2 chapters. Like, to her credit, to her defense, they find out that Hidari and Jura, they come through the gates, and so they're running towards the gates. And then Jura and Hidari end up going on the other part of the village, and Team 10 are battling them and etc. And then Shikamaru is like, hey, turn around and go the other direction. So, I mean, I get it, but I'm going to meme that so hard if she spends the whole chapter running. All right, let's see. Lost Zoro. Oh, hold on. Man, I gotta shoot the DM. We talking Lost Zoro. Is this the editor Lost Zoro? Oh, I gotta check, man. Let me see. I'm gonna have to send the DM. If this is editor Lost Zoro, appreciate everything you do for me, man. Appreciate everything you do. 50% of the chapter, Kurama talking to Himawari. 20% of the chapter about Shinji's power and how they're chased. 10% on a new character entering the fight, a new challenger And the last 20% on Boruto reaching to help his little sis Himawari. He might be cooking. He might be cooking. Like half the chapter being dialogue with Himawari and Kurama. He might be cooking. I'm expecting that to be a good chunk. I don't think that this is gonna be like a 2-3 page conversation. I think that we're gonna get some information, potentially even flashbacks, man. This is gonna be good because that's a big point to make. Phantom User says, my main thing is just delving into the relationship between Kashin, Koji, and Orochimaru. I don't know if we get that in next chapter. I think that is something that we're gonna get. That will be a very pleasant surprise if we see them interact. I think that for Orochimaru's character, and like there's a video that will be coming up on that. I'm recording this on the weekend, so you should be seeing that video next week. But that's gonna be big for Orochimaru's character to be able to interact with Kashin Koji. So I don't think that it's in the next chapter, but we're definitely gonna get that soon. BRSHK says new Boruto flashback involving Momoshiki. That's gotta happen. If that don't happen in the next chapter, it's gotta happen at some point. Because Kashin Koji clearly said you were going to lose control and was freaking out. And Boruto is freaking out as well. So I mean, at some point, they're gonna have to pay that off on why Kashin Koji and Boruto are freaking out the way that they were and give some real meat and potatoes to that. Because right now it's very open-ended. We can speculate on why that's the case, but I very much hope to see that too. Again, if we get Momoshiki in the next chapter, I will be very happy. Game Damn Meister 2934 says, I feel a bit of it will be Himawari talking to this new QB and explaining how it became connected to her, even show if it's the same Kurama, if it doesn't have any memories. Maybe it'll also have Himawari realize why she's conflicting thoughts due to the connection being a thing that continuously temporarily overrides omnipotence, and how she knows Naruto and Hinata are still alive. Possibly set up how she can use all the tail beasts. Then that part will probably end with her going into one of the cloak forms. That would be cool, because she did say like in chapter 1 that like, yeah, I can sense that my father's still alive, and she didn't know why. Like her memories and everything have been altered, but like if it's the same Kurama, he's like, look, that's really your brother. We could be seeing Kawaki continue to have that lie unravel. I'd be all for that. Say Cheese 4740 says, I bet we get a visit from Momoshiki at the end. I love you guys. Like that Momoshiki greatness. I love you guys, man. Like you guys are continuously saying Momoshiki. We're gonna keep pounding the drums. Momoshiki, Momoshiki. No Diddy. All right, Toku Blue says, hopefully an update on Boruto's karma situation, although it probably got worse. And of course, the Kurama story. Yeah, you know, I think that like the karma situation has to be addressed too, because based on what we've seen, it doesn't matter if Boruto puts distance between himself and Kawaki, you know, because like when Boruto was running to go visit Tsunade in part 1, one of the things that we saw was that Kawaki's karma, it resonated from the other side of the village. And so Boruto's karma was going off and he was on the outskirts of the village. So I mean, I think that at some point, like we gotta see where Boruto is at karma. It'll be interesting whether or not he's able to suppress it with more distance and more context. It's probably going to be given to us at that point. And then again, like the Kurama story, that would be the ultimate troll move if we don't get any explanation on Kurama in the next chapter, and like we just shift over to something else happening, and then it's chapter 11 we get it. If that happens, I would love to see it just to see the meltdown of people having to wait a whole nother month for it. Time to Rise and Conquer Life. That's such a beautiful name right there, man. I like that. That's a beautiful name. You get a heart just for that. Let's see. Himawari, with her newly discovered incredible power, will face off against Jura. Shocking Jura and Team 10. Shocking both Jura and Team 10. Koji, via one of his toads left in Konoha, will see Himawari's battle against Jura and inform Boruto, who's in shock. Sarada will finally arrive on the scene and battle against Hidari begins. The chapter ends on a cliffhanger where Sarada has a Mangekyo actor. That's so you think we're getting an action heavy chapter next chapter. I mean, I could kind of see it because like the fight did technically start in this last chapter and they put distance between them. And Himawari having this monster power, that's been built up for a long time. So if that happens, I'd be okay with that too. You know, again, like people are gonna be in their feelings some kind of way when Himawari is using the power. I think that I've said it before. I think it's like a Son Gohan situation. You just gonna have to accept that like Naruto's kid, just like Goku's kid, had potential to surpass him. This might be a very similar situation. Ryan HFC says, I think we'll get a pretty long POV switch to Sarada and Class Rep, in which she will encounter Hidari in the beginning of their fight. So yeah, I've always kind of said like, I think that we're gonna get our expectations subverted at some point. Not to the degree that a series like Chainsaw Man does, but I joke like on Twitter or something. I said that like, I would laugh my ass off if the next chapter didn't even address the Himawari situation and it just focused on something else that was going on and it made us wait. If there was ever a time to subvert your expectations, it will be now. If there was ever a time to do it, because that's the thing people are super interested in. That will be very ballsy to do that. Hosh ID 2LR says, reading Boruto Two Blue Vortex makes that first scene in Next Generation so much more badass. Yeah, because like we're kind of seeing how we get to that point. We're kind of seeing what leads to the village get destroyed. And we're seeing why Boruto's saying like, Kawaki, I didn't think you'd go this far, because that boy Kawaki, he's on the verge of a meltdown. Okay, we're gonna do a couple more of these and then we're gonna get out of here with this one, man. Pyrus Dragonoid Master says, man, I hate that YouTube has like these new ads for like the new ad handles and everything, because like before, like when people had the names, like it was a little easier. Oh man, I think on next one I have to increase the font size or something, man. It says, I am hoping chapter 10 will focus on Sarada and Hidari, but like I have been saying, it is for the best if Boruto does not interfere. We want to know Sarada has been training seriously under Sarada to master Byakugo Seal and Kakashi to master ninjutsu and the Sharingan. Right now, she is on probation on fraud alert list. All right, yeah. I'm gonna say it. I think that I hate saying this too, but because of Boruto's promise to Sasuke, I think at some point he's gonna get involved in that fight. Because you had Hidari and Boruto already face off. I think at some point that's coming. I don't want that. I'm with you. I want Sarada to, you know, have her fight and everything. I think that we're potentially probably just gonna get just enough to see exactly where Sarada is scaling as a character. Because so far, like we've only seen her use a Shidori and a couple of fire release jutsu, and she's had some moments where she's been off guard. We ain't seen a full on battle. We have a rough idea where Hidari is. I think that, you know, her battle with Hidari is going to serve the same thing that Mitsuki's battle with Boruto did, which is we saw like, okay, like Sage Mode Mitsuki is strong enough to fight against Otsutsuki. He's not strong enough to fight against base Boruto and win, but he's clearly reached that goal of being able to fight against Otsutsuki. Boruto and base is just that cracked. So I would be okay if, like, again, we saw Sarada and we get just enough to kind of put her there, and that's gonna piss people off, because like we still get people saying, oh, Sarada's only as strong as Sakura in part 2, when Sakura was fighting at Sasori, when like part 1 Sarada's already stronger than that Sakura. Like part 1 Sarada, Sasuke wasn't trying to make his daughter feel better by saying you're already stronger than me when I was your age, because that's out of character for Sasuke. He's very to the point. Like he tells Boruto, does this look like the face of somebody that would joke and exaggerate? Part 1 Sarada, before we even got into the whole Mangekyo Sharingan edition, that Sarada, you could drop her into Naruto volume 40, 41, 42, and she's walking out of that fight. And that's before the Mangekyo Sharingan. So I don't think it's a stretch to say that she's gotten up to like a 10 Tails level where she can fight against some of these Shinju. I think that we've already seen it with Mitsuki, where Mitsuki's definitely leveled up to that point. I think that we're going to be on the same level here. The last one we're going to get to is going to be Movie Holics 932. It says Kurama give a little bit of his power to Himawari so that she can get out. That will be interesting. So like basically, I guess you're saying like they have a conversation. Kurama's like, look, like Jura's trying to get his hands on me. I ain't going through this whole thing with the Ten Tails again. Get the hell out of there. But if she does that, I'm assuming she takes members of Team 10 with her. Like, that'd be interesting. I'm actually interested in that, because that might be like the safer thing to do too, because what that does is it provides an avenue for us to see that she can use Kurama's chakra, but it doesn't have her directly engage Jura in a battle. And it gives you more time before you see her in a battle situation. I'd be okay with that, man. I'd be completely okay with that. But we're gonna cut this one off here as far as like with the community response. The next one that we'll do for the community response will be after the chapter drops, and that one would just be like on you guys' thoughts after the chapter reviews out and everything, and kind of see where you guys are. So it's like the temperature of the community on whatever's going on. Basically, Q&As and community response videos is something that I used to do when I first started the channel. I want to continue doing that, get back in the habit of doing it, because it's a great way to interact with you guys, man. I enjoyed this one a lot, man. A lot of you guys brought up some really good points, man.